So I come from a long line of public school teachers, actually, but one thing that was not true about my family is that we weren't a particularly religious family. And somehow, though, I was always tethered to these questions about life's meaning and purpose and about the source of hope and what makes that source reliable. It wasn't, though, until college that I began to wrestle with these questions in a community. It just so happened that that community was led by and influenced by a campus minister, a chaplain named Marty. Marty was a great teacher because, first of all, he was just a great storyteller. And secondly, though, he had a great story to tell, a story about God's pursuing love of broken people like me. And he also believed that story and was formed by that story and embodied that story. And there's a verse in the Bible that says that, we cared so deeply for you that we were determined to share with you not only the good news of God, but our very lives. Marty could have written that verse because that was Marty. And I could tell hundreds of stories that illustrate the way that he showed me the gospel and he showed me the love of God. But the one I want to just share with you is the night that our son, Zach, was injured playing football and suffered a traumatic brain injury. Marty had just gotten home. He lived an hour and a half north of Boston, and he had just gotten home, driven home from Boston when he heard that we were at the hospital and that Zach was in the OR. And he got right back in his car. He drove and he stayed with me all night in the hospital that night. He actually, this big hulking guy, slept in a chair that night. And not only that night, but for the next 2 nights, he stayed by my side. He stayed with me through the night. And it was on the evening of the 3rd night that we received news that they were going to have to operate again on Zach's brain and remove a skull cap, and that this would save his life, but all but ensure that he would never have a full recovery. And when they told me that, Tammy had to run back home to take care of the kids while he went into the OR. And I did what came most natural to me I realize is my default when I'm in tremendous pain. I ran away. I mean, I just needed to be alone. I needed to be someplace where I could express the emotions that were welling up inside of me. And I have no idea how Marty found his way to me. I found a dark, isolated waiting room by myself and was there, and he found me and he took me to breakfast, and he sat across from me in this diner and said to me, he shared a story that gave me a story that I've lived into ever since. He said, Pat, if I had to guess, I would guess that Zach probably won't have a full recovery, but that somehow he will become even more delightful to you. And that story has been the story that has formed my life, that I have lived into. It's a small expression of this larger story of pursuing unconditional love of God. But the way that that's manifested itself in my life has definitely changed my life and carried me through the most difficult challenge in life.